Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. 9:31. Running a little bit late there. Trying to get my act together this morning. Nice to see everybody. Thanks for everyone who showed up for the premiere of my latest video. Let's see who's in the room. Let us see who's here. Young Blue, nice to see you, sir. Excellent, always. Let's see what else is going on. Carlos Pagan, Liam, the boss, Aaron Massa. Hey, what's up? LJ Merritt. Cool. Yeah, I have slow mode on. It's like 20 seconds or something like that. Keep things from getting too out of hand. Anthony Bailey. Hey, what's up? Nice to see you. Lily, good afternoon. Ambush News under service. John Faber. Cool. So, everybody had a chance to watch my video. Hey, Spirit of Toad. Nice to see you. Yeah, so that was the Cold Moonlight video. Good morning, everybody. Yes, good morning. And yeah, hope it was worth the wait. People were wondering why it was taking so long. Mr. Adam, hey, what's up? It took a little while because I wanted to. Well, one, I'm a busy guy. That happens, but I wanted to do it in multiple settings. And given the weather here in California, it was a pretty much a week between. I guess it was 5 days between the moonlight video and the without moonlight video, and then another few days, another 4 days or so before I could get a daytime moon shot. So I wanted to do the whole thing, and so that's why it took so long. Stephen, thank you very much. Faber, not Faber, Faber, pronounced Germanly. Okay, nice, excellent. So let's see. I know there were a number of the globe denying crowd who were in the watching the premiere and had issues as they were going along. So I'd like to hear some of them. Yes, you did spot the Hamilton T-shirt because I am uh, a many faceted nerd. So yes, I've seen this twice here in over in San Francisco. Couldn't catch it when I was in New York. That would be Hamilton. Those of you who don't know, this is Hamilton shirt. Thanks, Walid. Let's see. So not only am I that kind of nerd, let's see. I'm going to see Dear Evan Hansen on Wednesday. I'll be catching that with wife and kid. I'm looking forward to that. And Childish Gambino on Tuesday. So yeah, it's going to be a busy week for me when it comes to my nerddom. So yeah, so the video. So any I really like to hear from any globe deniers uh in the room that take issue with anything that I had there. I know there's one Fred. I don't know what your screen name is, and I don't know if you want me to say what your name is, your real name is. Uh, can't remember your Fred story, I think. I know there's a Fred out there had an issue. I'm going to have him come and talk with me. I've spoken with him before, so I know I can trust him on the mic. So I'm going to have him come in and voice some of his some of his concerns. Sorry, I was laughing at Skydog59. Don't let Tim Osman see that shirt; he'll get triggered. Yeah, he would. That's an interesting cat. I don't know why he has issues with me, but that's an interesting cat. That Osman guy. Maybe he'll be. Well, maybe that was enough. Maybe if I say his name one more time, he'll appear like Candyman. So Tim Osman. And because he seems to watch my videos, or at least my live streams, strictly for the purpose of finding something to criticize me about. So you'll have something today, I'm sure. So, yeah, so that's his name for it. Yeah, so yeah, he's going to be on. I know him as a different name because I've discussed things with him on Facebook. So, Federostri, I don't know what that is. Okay, cool. Yes, I've also heard the globe deniers claim that moonlight has a degenerative effect on food. Yes, I have heard that. That is not something I'm even bothering to test. Um, yeah, it's just that's just something that Eric Dubay came up with. I mean, the whole cold moonlight thing I think was his as well. So, yeah, I'm not even bothering with the whole putrefying light, I think they call it, while sunlight is life affirming. Moonlight is putrefying, is part of their claim. It's all part of their desire to separate the moon from the sun, because if the moon and the sun are actually interacting the way we say they are in standard science, uh, it doesn't fit their model. So they have to get rid of it. That's purely what it's about. They know that if a nearby sun and a nearby moon are not that high over the earth, then the geometry, the way light interacts would not work for the phases of the moon. They know that. They absolutely know that it doesn't work. So they have to say that they're not connected. So then you can still have the phases the way they are and the sun where it is. But if they're interacting, it doesn't work mathematically, geometrically, reality wise. It doesn't work at all. And so they have to get rid of it. That's the only reason they're coming up with these claims. It's the only reason. Morning, Bob. Chaos CK. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, morning for me, evening for you. All right. And Blackbird Blitz. Hey, what's up? Yeah, you put food out, it putrefies. That's what happens. Yeah, so that's why the whole moon. That's why it comes up in the first place. It's all about separating those things out because they know it fails. They know that their model fails basic reality and basic mathematics and basic optics. They know that, so they have to come up with something else. Now, of course, they have no mechanisms for these things. Cooling light, self-generation, they have none of it. But that doesn't matter to them. They just have to fill it in. It is effectively magical thinking. Who's this? Aaron Massa or Aaron Mesa? Yes, it is magical thinking to a certain degree because they have to come up with uh, essentially metaphysical, magical elements to explain their system, and because they are magical elements and God created, ultimately it comes down to being God created. Then they have an excuse for not understanding it. Well, it's the way God works. That's beyond mankind. So they can say, yes, it's self generating. No, we don't know how, but that's beyond us to know how. Maybe it's not our place to know. So that's a part of that there. No, I don't think well, I don't think it's part of, well, Bob Townsend, it might be part of the lack of STEM education because there was not a lot of STEM education um, 15, 20 years ago. There wasn't. Uh, and so it could be part of the cycle of what happened when uh, emphasis on certain aspects of schooling were minimized, at least in the United States. I can't explain it for anyone else. Um, Bob, your name is so generic. I'm sorry. It doesn't tell me where you're from. Where are you from, Bob? Are you an American? Were you in the American educational system? And are you old enough to have seen the changes over the last 40 years? Northern Michigan. So that one's to Bob. Because if you are, you'll understand. No, it's not Common Core's fault. I can tell you right now, it's not Common Core's fault. Common Core will help fix this. Common Core will help fix this. Common Core didn't kick in until the last few years, and these people were out of the education system. But in the late 80s to early 90s, through most of that, that's when, yes, so you're 56. That's when things like school funding went down, so things like shop classes, um, labs, the lab classes that we used to have that I had when I was in school, those things got defunded. I mean, schools just didn't have the money to have these kind of real world, hands-on, experiments. And I think that was kids of the late '80s, um, and early '90s, and even to the late '90s. They had that issue, and even getting into today. Today, they're starting to do some things to rebuild, but I think that is part of it. But it's not. I can't explain all of it. I can't explain all of it. Uh, Common Core, on the other hand, at least because I'm raising a kid, who's 13 now, who's been dealing with Common Core education system. I've actually really liked the way it works because they they really stress critical thinking more than they did uh, when my nephew and niece were in the education system. They're 12 years older than my son. So the fact that my yes, Bob, um, the fact that when my son does a math problem, he doesn't just have to give the answer. He has to explain how he got to the answer is really helpful. Common Core is really about understanding fundamentals and being able to, on a core level, as opposed to just getting answers. Uh, People take issue with it because they see things as being weird and weird methods of doing it. But especially when it comes to math, they're learning things differently. I remember there were for a long time there was a couple weeks where all the math questions he had to deal with were word problems that the answers were given. It's like a situation. Susie did blah 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 blah, and this is the answer she came up with. Is she right or is she wrong? And explain why. It wasn't how to do them. It wasn't just get the right answer. It was an answer was given, and a lot of people would say, "Yeah, it's the right answer" or whatever. But you had to be able to, if the answer was wrong, you had to explain that person's mistake and how they got to that answer, or if they got to the right answer, how they got to it. You didn't get full points just for getting the right answer, yes or no, 14 or 47. You had to be able to explain it and the steps, and so that is wonderful. The kids, I have conversations with kids my son's age, and the way they can explain things a lot better than the last generation that I dealt with because I've been with dealing with kids for a long time. So me and Common Core, uh, I think Common Core is going to help turn this around because it is about real world application of things. End of speech. Let's see, someone's hitting me up on Discord here. Hold on. Am I see ambush news? Am I concerned about our military enlistments rate? Our nation cannot sustain our current combat deaths under current recruitment rates. Um, Only reason I'd be concerned about our current recruitment rates is if that people decided, oh, because we instead of maybe decreasing the amount of military presence we have in the world, we need to start drafting people. Uh, yeah, that would be an issue. Hey, what's up, Adam? Let me see what is popping up over here. Let me get this. Sorry, this micro. It's going to make a little bit of noise because I'm going to move this mic. My apologies. It's a little too in my face right now. Apologies for the noise. All right. Of course, I could have just muted that, but hey, I'm doing things on the fly. Let's see what's going on here. No, I'm not worried about a mini ice age, but I'm not really up about the North Atlantic currents, so I can't speak with, uh, I can't make an educated opinion on the North Atlantic currents. That was to ambush news now. Sean Hawkins says he made a video using a physical model demonstrating how the angles two players can't work on a flat Earth; it can only work on a globe. Feel free to put the link in the chat because you're absolutely right. I think Wolfie did something about a polar alignment as well with a laser. Do I believe? This is John Faber. Do I believe that dual Earth theory is a joke or something for genuine? I don't even know about the dual Earth theory. Do I even want to know about the dual Earth theory? Really? Do I? Is this something I even wanna hear this morning? It's been a good day so far. Let's see. I haven't checked out the Gaia project in a while. I put it on my list of things to look at, but I haven't. I've been really busy with work. Like even today, this isn't going to be too long. I'm on call. Hopefully, I have a little more time. One of the cases I'm working on settled yesterday, so it saved me about 6 hours of illustration work to do. But I still have things on my plate. Dual Earth theory says everything south of the equator is on the underside of the Earth disk. Let's see. Yes, Neb, crunch, crunch, crunch. Neb, you always call me out on my sounds, man. What's up with that? Crunch, hum, music. You're like the ambient noise police. Uh, let's see. Wait, 45. Cool. Let's see what else is going on here. So, I'm gonna bring it is I'm gonna send a message to Fred briefly. Spirit of Toad, can I recommend any experiments or observations you can make on the solstice? On the solstice versus the equinox. Well, let's see. Let me think on that. Yeah, because most things are done. It's easier on the equinox. Uh, I'll think about the solstice. Mhm. See, now you got me second guessing things I do. And I just started humming and I stopped because I know Neb's going to say something. Hey, what's up, Reaver? Reavers are coming. Reavers. Any questions out there? Uh, uh, Josh Karen says, I feel the science classes are the most important for learning how to critically think, learn the scientific method, not just memorizing things, but actually let them discover it for themselves. I think you're correct. Though critical thinking can be applied to all sorts of things. Um, it's very difficult to apply critical thinking to other courses that tend to be more subjective in their applying critical thinking to uh the interpretation of a particular poem is is difficult because it's really about it's a very subjective thing. Applying critical thinking to historical events is difficult because historical events were not recorded using critical thinking, so we don't necessarily have the most accurate way of getting the facts on those. And so things like math, geometry is great for critical thinking studies. Uh, I credit my geometry teacher in the I don't know, it was ninth grade. Can't remember now. For really uh, solidifying my ability to use logic and reasoning, because there was a lot. We did a lot of proofs. He was a very proof heavy person. It was all about explaining how you did things. So geometry is great for that. And yes, the scientific method, doing experiments, hand-on experiments, uh, are really important. And so I agree with you. Mhm. Yeah, ambush, perfect for your name, but I'm not here to talk about military stuff. I don't know if you're I don't know if you're Pliskin, under another name, but because you're acting like Pliskin. But I'm yeah, that's not my interest today. Mr. Thrive and Survive could see the ISS firsthand. I mean, I'm assuming through a camera. I'm not surprised. Did I see critical thinkers in the room? I did not see. Is critical thinking in the room? If so, hey, what's up? I'll go. Cool. Hey, what's up, critical? Thanks for sending that along. I'm hoping to get it in a few days, critical, and then I'll do a short video on that. Let's see. Yeah, just a lot of things are happening today in terms of video wise. I have my for those of you who are concerned, I saw a couple people talking about this in the last chat room. My my cold moonlight video was going to be long if I let everything kind of go at a regular speed. So because I took my time in sampling things. So I fast forwarded during the sample of the temperature sampling portions, and even skipped over some and just gave summaries. If you go to my channel, there is a video that is just the footage. It's just the footage of me sampling the temperatures. It's about 14 minutes long uh, of each configuration I had. It's in I think 2.5K. 4K was taking too long to upload. It's 2.5K, so you can make it full screen. You can look, closely. You can pause, and you can see the temperature readings yourself. Um, and just so you guys can keep me honest, I'm not concerned that, he called it 47.1 and it was 47.0. Or the fact is, when I was sampling things, you could see that the temperature kind of fluctuated because, different portions, your those temperature gauges are reading an area. They're sampling an area. And so as I move it around, the temperature will fluctuate. So what I did was if I saw it go from 47.1, hopping back and forth between 47.1 and 46.7. I may have put it down as 46, point 9, just because it's going back and forth. That's why I put at the bottom that there's a plus and minus of a couple tenths and on all the samples because of that, which really it tells me that it emphasizes that these temperatures aren't that different, that there is no variation, because of be- between say moonlight and no moonlight. Let's see. So that's it. So you can go. Those of you who've said, it's going too fast, and it wasn't on screen long enough. There's a whole video that you can go look at it, and the link is in the description, so you can find it. Let's see. Would I ever, Alfredo Fletes says, would I ever consider having a conversation with Nathan Thompson? He claims to know more about the heliocentric model than most people. May be interesting to watch. The problem with having a conversation with Nathan Thompson is when I first put up my 11 questions video, I approached him and said, hey, I'd like to put this up on your Flat Earth Facebook page for people to look at. He says, sure. I did it through chat. And so I put it up there, and then we went back and forth a few times and went up there. And then he started pitching me his outside business, whatever computer consulting or whatever business consulting he was doing on the side. He started pitching me that business through the chat, through a separate chat, which I thought was like, what the hell? This is not a business network. I was just doing that. Don't try to, pitch business to me, because he saw that I was in the legal business. And I think it's like legal consulting or something like that. He started pitching me that, which I thought was creepy. And then he started posting Holocaust denial conversations up on his Facebook group. And so that's when I left the group. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I don't have time for Holocaust denial people. So the fact that I find him that's kind of a disgusting type of human being. So having a conversation with him is beneath me. Is it wrong for me to say that? But I'm sorry, Holocaust denial people. No, I don't have time for that. I know it's not a critical thinking type of thing to dismiss somebody because of an opinion on another subject. I understand that, and I'm not dismissing his opinion on the globe because of his opinion on on the Holocaust. I'm dismissing him as a human being because of his opinion on the Holocaust, not his scientific opinion. Mhm. Okay, so you don't know who Nathan Simpson is? Oh, good for you, Christian. And hey, what's up, Christian? Nice to see you. Who else is in the room? Carolyn Clark, don't you hate it when you put some food in a microwave and one side is scalding hot and the other is frozen solid? Isn't that kind of like measuring the temperature of moonlight? Uh, so we got a few questions that I miss. Thank you, Shivanshu. Let's see. Do I think that people are generally stupider now, or just find each other easier because of the internet, or do you think that people have a lesser thirst for knowledge today? I don't think people are I don't think people are stupider now. I think stupid people have a greater ability to disseminate their stupidity. So we are encountering them now. Before, you know, you kind of pick and choose the people you hang out with and people you interact with, and so uh, I didn't interact with stupid people that often. I just didn't. It's like there's a natural separation that happens, and yeah, so I just didn't come across them. But the internet allows them to, to approach you in all sorts of ways that that you wouldn't allow them to approach you in the real world. So I think that's one. I think stupid people. Let's temper that by saying people with poor critical thinking skills and outrageous claims, unsupported outrageous claims. They have more access to disseminate their information, which I think is part of your things easier because of the internet. Uh, and I don't think it's people have a lesser thirst for knowledge today. I think there is at least in American society, there at least through the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s, there was a strong pushback against expertise, mainly because of the political aspects of global warming, climate change. I think that's my personal opinion. Um, there was because the science wasn't going with the political trend. There was a major pushback from the top tier against expertise, um, and so there was a greater emphasis on uh, gut feeling, common knowledge, knowing more than what the experts know. Book learning was looked down upon, and so I think a generation of people, uh, were influenced by that. So I think there's a certain amount of that, and on top of that, there's to take the flip side. That I think there's the idea that people argue against millennials, all the millennials, which I hate even using because it's such a silly phrase, silly term. But arguing against a generation of kids that were raised kind of like being told that they're perfect and being wonderful, and that they're in what they think is wholly valid. And so there's an assumption of expertise that a lot of people have of themselves. That if a thought comes into their head, it must be true because it's their thought. And so things that counter what they think are dismissed because of their own what their own sense of self worth. Um, one thing that's really important when it comes to scientific exploration is understanding what you don't know, the limits of your own knowledge, and that you need to have it, uh, uh, this information reinforced somewhere else. And so I think that's one reason why this stuff is, you know, becoming so big to the degree we think it's getting big. Mhm. Do I think there are more real flat earthers or more? I think I got cut off. Probably more trolls. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. It's a fine line between a Poe and a real flat earther, and it's hard to tell. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, so I'm gonna drop a link because I don't want to do this for too long. It's been a half hour. I'm gonna do a quick. I'm gonna drop a link to Fred so we can have a quick conversation. Let's see. Copy. Give me a second to drop this. See if he can come in. All right. What else is going on while we wait for him? Oh, by the way, did the Sly more is it Sly I get Morgal and Antonio Sprats mixed up. That's funny. They do look like the same breed of rodent. Did the Sly and Antonio debate happen? Did that get executed at all? Somebody tell me about that. Do I think celebrity flat earthers Logan Paul? Logan Paul is not a celebrity flat earther. He's trolling those guys, and they know it now. And so a lot of them are kind of, there's backlash going on. But he was just trolling them. Uh, Not that I'm defending him, just he was trolling him. Do celebrity flat earthers, BOBT, are they causing kids to deny science? I think to a certain degree. There's a certain amount of celebrity influence that happens there. But given that those people aren't really they're open about it, but they don't actually have many conversations about the science. They don't express a lot of fact on a regular basis. I think their influence is going to wane fairly quickly, especially people like Tequila. Oh, guess what? Hey, everybody. Tim Osman's here. Um, hey, Tim. Uh, okay, I'm not getting anything from Fred. Hey, Tim, if I sent you a link separately somehow, would you come in the room? Okay, I'm going to talk to Fred. Go Steelers. Liam Cox, thank you very much for your super chat. Go Steelers. Pardon, Liam Cox. Who else do we have in the room? Let's see, real quick. I think I got another super chat that I might have missed. Oh no, you did it twice. Thank you. Subscribe to unsubscribe from T Series. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Why? Why does anybody care about that whole T Series PewDiePie thing? I'm not subscribed to either one of them. Why does anybody care? Let T Series beat PewDiePie, and then let there be a comeback or something. Just whatever. What is going on with that thing? Okay. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to talk to someone else briefly, uh, and I'm going to not take this phone call, uh, even though it's my goddaughter's mother. Hold on a second here. Actually, I'm just going to take this call while I'm on the phone so you can just hear a conversation real quick. Hey, what's up? I'm actually doing a live stream on YouTube right now. Yeah, and now I'm having this phone conversation while you're not on speaker. Don't worry about that. But but since it's you, I didn't want to just blow you off. So I'm doing doing a live stream right now. Yes, that's awesome. No, that was awesome. I reacted to that. Okay, cool. I will do. Take care. Family biz. So yeah, Tim, I will hit you up after I talk to Fred. Let me just post your email off to the side here. so I don't forget it. Cool. And Fred seems to be having a difficult time. Okay, so just Fred, if you're watching, just go to that link. Just click that link I gave you, and that should take you right into the room. See if that works. Because yeah, Fred, that's a link straight into this room. I'm just waiting. All right, see who's in here while I wait. Oh, Brainery. Sorry, I didn't see you there, Brainery. Nice to see you. Challenge my brain. There's a UK series called Line of Duty. Okay, send that to me separately so I don't forget. Hey, what's going on, Fred? Click that link. Just do it. Just push that link right there. All right. While I'm waiting for him, let's see who else is in the room. Heidi Williams. Hey, what's up? Nice last name. Carl Edwards. I knew a Carl Edwards back in Des Moines. All right. While we wait I know if I send this link to Tim, he'll get to it quickly. So keep trying to get in the room there, Fred. If you get in, I'll just I'll hold you to the side as I talk to Tim. So let me take out the spaces in this thing. All right. While I send off this email. Hold on a second. Oh, there's a space in there. My apologies. That didn't work. All right. See if that got to you, Tim. Okay. So I sent a link to Tim Osman. So remember how I said, I don't know if you noticed in my trailer for this live stream, I said that everything was going to be civil unless I talk about race. Because some reason, the very act of talking about race seems to trigger some people, particularly one gentleman named Tim Osman. So I'm going to have him in the room just to talk about it for a few minutes, just to find out what's going on. Dismiss. Close. Oh, hold on. I need to check my Slack real quick just to make sure I don't have any marching orders from work. I apologize. Nothing there. All right. Cool. Okay, so far so good. All right. Tim, I sent you a link. uh, Carl Edwards says, "Please trigger them." It's amazing. I say something like Black Panther Day, talking about the Black Panther movie, and people are just like, "Woo!" It's hilarious. Okay. Hey, why does no one want to come talk to me? seem lonely out here. Let's see who else. Yes, great movie. Yes, it was. And this was me. Was before the movie. I mentioned in a video. I used the date of the movie, and I called it Black Panther Day. And immediately, people assumed that I was talking about the Black Panther Party. Some people did, and they just like, I'm out. The fact that you said that is terrible. Um, not understanding that I'm a big nerd, and the Black Panther movie was coming out in a month or something, and I had set it aside as a holiday, and it practically was. It was a black nerd holiday. I took the day off from work so I could watch it again, and I told work, "You might as well give me the day off because I'm not going to show up anyway. So give me the day off." All righty. Osman doesn't seem to be able to come in the room for some reason. He just disappeared. Tusk Music. Did anybody else think Black Panther was too long and a bit dull? Shut up, you. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut your damn mouth. Nah, everybody gets to have their own opinion. Sapphire Sapien, awesome name. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you don't get to come. You don't get to come to my house and disperse and besmirch my movie. Dang, Jerry, chill. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you know that I'm not serious about that. People are perfectly allowed to have their own opinion on these things. But not here. Not this time. And not with this movie. Not for a damn sight. Okay. All right. Tim says he's firing up the computer. All right. Yeah. Now, if you want me to go into full, blurred mode. So seriously. Well, you're Blackbird Blitz, man. Don't you get enough problems just having black in your name? Am I watching a Black Lightning series? I watched the first like 4 episodes, and then it was on a day that I just couldn't watch. I really enjoyed it. I thought they were doing a great job on it. So it's on Netflix. At some point, I will stream the whole thing because I thought they were doing a great job, especially with the music flavor and all that. Okay, I think I have Tim in the room. Either that or it's Fred. I think it's Tim. That symbol.
Oh, that's me. How
All
you
right.
doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. So, folks, I apologize that I'm not going to be paying much attention to the chat for the next few. I've got Tim. Hey, Tim, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Osman or Osman?
It's Timothy Osman for a long name, and then Tim Osman for short. Basically, if you just look up Tim Osman in Google, you'll understand why I've named myself that for many years.
Oh, okay. I didn't bother to. I just assumed it was your actual name as opposed to
Nah,
a reference.
pseudonym.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know the reference, so I wouldn't think to look up the reference. What is the reference that referred to? Or
when you do you well, actually, Tim Osman was supposedly a CIA or FBI name of Osama bin Laden. He helped with the Mujahideen in the 70s, and
we trained that boy.
Yeah,
but he was our guy. He was our guy until he wasn't our guy.
Yeah, and that seems to be the case. Kind of, we kind of depose leaders that don't play the ball, and they're the greatest thing since sliced cake. Even Hitler was Time Magazine Man of the Year in like 1939 for taking his country out of World War I and the reparations therein. So it's pretty interesting what America does and how the powers that be do what they do. I don't really know how to explain it.
No, I think that was pretty good. That is what that pretty much is how they do what they do. But that's how people are in general, though. I mean, America is not much different than kind of the average person who is perfectly willing to ally with someone as long as they're serving their purpose, and then are perfectly willing to turn them into a demon when they're not. That's just how we are as people, sadly.
Yep, exactly.
And our government is just a people in aggregate, and even to an accentuated degree, with the same
Yeah.
flaws and idiot, motivations as all of us.
So did you
that
want to talk about
that being said,
race? Yeah.
that being said, it seems to me that that you regularly take issues with me when it comes to the subject of race, uh, and I'm not exactly sure why. Like, for example, in the chat here, I mentioned Morgile and what's his name, Subarets, being this same form of rat, and you took it to a race situation.
This is me being satirical.
Yeah.
For sure. I hope you get that.
No, I
I
don't.
actually
But
laughed. I
no,
laughed when you said it, though.
yeah, but
It was funny.
the reason I don't is because it's a trend with you, and so since I don't know you, I can only see what the trend is doing. Now, if I know you, then I say, "Oh, that's him being him," or "That's him being his humorous self." But since I don't know you, it's, as far as I know, it's you being your true self.
I
So,
got you. You don't get the context. I see what
yes,
you're saying.
yes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm wondering.
Cool. Well, actually, have you seen my video? I think it was about an hour video talking about your stories that you had the other day about D Marble and yourself in Marshall, Texas.
Yes.
And also, you did see that.
Yeah. Most of it. I think I saw it
Okay.
all, and I thought it was interesting that, well, one, that you talked about triggering and the victim complex, that you didn't really talk about the victim complex as it associates with me. You kind of put it in your title, but you didn't actually delve into it. So I thought that was, I don't know if you meant to when you titled it and then just didn't get around to doing it.
Well, you're also making a comment on something that you just admitted that you didn't watch the full thing. So maybe you should watch the full thing and see
But
if I tap on
actually,
it.
I don't know if I watched the full thing because
Oh, were you
it's been
drunk
a week
or?
or two. No, that would be you. I don't
Oh,
drink.
okay. I didn't think so. I think that you have the mentality and memory. I don't think you're senile.
No, not the
To
slightest.
remember if you watched it or not. So, do you have anything that you want to talk about from that whole
Well,
thing?
one in particular was, you took issue with, I had mentioned, hey, what's up? American racism at one point in my video. I said that's the way things are, at least in American racism, in my comment. And you took it as attacking white people, and you as an American in your video.
Well, why wouldn't it just be racism? Why does it have to be American racism?
Because I don't experience worldwide racism. And the fact is that racism isn't like a specific thing. It's a manufactured situation. It's how it works differently depending on your culture. What is, we call ourselves black here in America, but black doesn't mean the same thing if you go to a different country. The
Mm,
race doesn't work the same way, because and I think you'll agree with me on this, race is a manufactured construct. It's not a real thing. It's something we've kind of imposed upon society. We're all just freaking humans.
true. Yeah.
And so
But
so it's one of those things that isn't consistent in different places. And since I haven't been in Brazil and experienced racism in Brazil and how it works in Brazil, I can't speak to racism there. I can talk about how it's been here. So that is my way of saying, hey, I'm not going to try to speak to how things work other places. I'm going to talk about my experience in America and what I
okay.
know of how it works. Yet for some reason, you took it as an attack against you as a white person, which I
I
thought
just
was interesting.
colloquially wouldn't use, if I was talking about what you were talking about, I wouldn't just say American racism. I think that there are people in America who are racist, but I think for the most part, people are not. So I don't want to say American racism, but I understand how you're differentiating. Say you went to Japan, and because you're black, maybe some people were looking at you weird or whatever. Well, that would be a differentiation of what we're having here on the homeland and somewhere else. So I understand now where you're coming from a bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah, and but I think it was telling in what you said there is you seem to be taking me saying American racism as saying Americans are racist.
Yeah, yeah, not really, but
But
it just
that's
kind of
how
like
you that's how you seem to have taken it. When
it's a
it's about
semantical issue with me to say it. Racism in America, the people when you've experienced it, it is a whole different thing than saying like American racism. You know, like to me, almost American racism would be like guys with towels on their heads with box cutters in their hands. At this point, you know, like there's a huge problem probably with
well, I think right off the bat, the fact that you said towels on your head is an example of American racism.
yeah, well, that's yeah. It's you know I can be satirical, but I'm not seriously putting down a group of people because they wear those kinds of things in the deserts and stuff like that. This is me, loose lip
Yeah.
Timmy, not really trying to step on anyone's feet,
Yeah.
but
So,
you know,
but okay, but so I think part of the problem is that you, on a regular basis, seem to be taking what your opinion is on a particular phrase and imposing it upon me. It's like, well, the way I take that is this. Well, that's not how I said it. So you can criticize me for what I said, for what I meant, or you can criticize me for the way you took it. And that's what you're doing. You've taken it a certain way and posed that opinion upon me, and you've decided to criticize it. When you're just having a conversation in your head, that's not actually what I said.
so how about the same thing when you the guy in Marshall, Texas, just says, "Oh, I thought you were the security guard," and in your head, that's he's actually making a denotation of your skin color.
Is that a
Like,
question?
yeah, it is a question. In the same way, how your mind goes to different things, mind
Totally.
may.
Totally. Totally that happens all the time. And then you have to check yourself and you have to go back afterwards and you're going to go, what was that about? How much of that was me? How much of that was him? Huh. I have to think about that. You as a sensible human being, you have to do that. Now, that wasn't a scripted conversation I had. So I was just going off the top of my head of something I remember happening in the recent past.
Yeah.
So it is completely possible that I took that as a turn that it wasn't meant for. Totally. And I acknowledge that. Sometimes, I have multiple things going. I'm big, I'm black, and I'm male.
Hmm.
There could be all sorts of reasons that I get a look for something. I walk up on somebody and they're like, "Oh Jesus!" It could be because I was really big and close to them.
Your dreads. I mean,
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So there's
Yeah.
all sorts of things. So these are factors you have to take into consideration. I try to be honest with myself about that. Um, but I found it interesting that you took what I said the way I did, and then criticized me for it when it wasn't anything I said. And let me tell you why I thought it was interesting, and I can be totally off base with this, and I acknowledge that because this is just me. It seemed to me, because I've seen this happen before, that when I said American racism and you took it as an attack against white people, that
No,
no, you
American.
actually but not, I think you actually said you as a white person in your video.
Yeah, well, I'm an American and I'm not racist. That was my point.
Yeah. But the thing is that oftentimes people by default associate uh, the white male as the American. That's like your default setting. If I think of American, oh, I think of a white male. I think of me because that's just what white people. I mean, Americans are white men for good or ill. They oftentimes they do, and it seemed to me, and like I said, this could be on my end, that since I said American, you immediately defaulted to what you are as the archetype of what American is, and took it as a personal attack.
I didn't necessarily think that you were calling me a racist by saying American racist. I just didn't like the semantics of it, so I attacked the semantics of it and using it because racism is a problem. Like I said before, with select people, maybe down in the South. Racism for me, I go some certain places and I can't walk on the street because of my skin color. That's just something we live in at the moment. But things I think you can agree on have gotten much better, even just in your lifetime, as far as race. So I think that we're going on the better track. I think that, you know, not doing the victim mentality or using your color or anything like that, I would advise against it. You know, I feel like what you
And
were.
thank you, but you haven't shown an example where I've used the victim mentality.
Oh, well, you got to finish that video.
No, I
Yes,
don't. You can tell
sometime.
me right now how I use the victim mentality.
You were a victim. You were a victim of your skin color in Marshall, Texas.
No,
You were a victim.
where in that conversation did I express being victimized?
He made a comment about you, and you took it as a derogatory comment against your skin color. Were you
But did
not
I
victimized?
but did I somehow think that I was lessened because of it, or something was taken away from me, or I was not allowed to accomplish what I needed because of it? What way did I express being victimized?
I think that you're kind of going with a different semantical definition of victimization.
Hey,
I
that's why
think
I'm
that
asking you. That's why I'm asking, because there's my definition and then there's yours. Just like there was my definition of American racism and there was yours. You took yours and assumed it was mine and went with it. So I'm taking mine and assumed it was yours. I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. So I want you to explain to me how I was victimized, how I expressed my victimization.
you expressed it on a live stream that I, watched obviously and watched on my channel. You expressed it openly to everybody, and you bring in race as an issue still in America, when yes, it can be looked at as an issue, but you bringing it up and you bringing up all the things in the past and how you've been, in my opinion, and I'll use victimized because of your skin color. You brought this up and you continue to perpetrate this. Now D Marble comes on and says, "Oh, this guy says this," and you know what? I don't agree with that white guy that said that. He's just an asshole. It was just a very stupid comment to say. I don't know who it was, maybe Southern Israelite or
It was
whatever.
Southern
I
Israelite.
don't I don't agree with it at all. He could have gone way different places to have a little joke and a little whatever. But that was stupid. And even from my perspective, that's dumb. It's just those words are so, they trigger people. Black, Jew,
Obviously.
the N word, and it's like what I was trying to say in my video is that you could call me anything, and I know you won't. Honky, you could call me whitey, you could call me anything, and it won't have the same effect on me. It's because I'm not being victimized by words. So that's kind of where I'm stretching the word a little bit, and we're on different terms here, but that's how I feel, and I express myself in that. And let me premise this because maybe people haven't heard me on your channel. Obviously, I like all of your work. Okay, when it comes to the race thing, I had my opinion, so I made a video about it. But I still watch your work, and I still like all of your work. So it doesn't affect anything. I just had a disagreement. I had a disagreement with Conspiracy Cats. Made a video about that, and people can watch it. People don't have to. So
Okay.
I got no problem with you. Basically, we just have a difference of semantical opinion and
Yeah,
difference in
yeah,
race.
and I thought it was, yeah, we do have a different semantical opinion. I just thought it was interesting that you just kind of assumed my opinion on what these words meant, or what were the same as yours, and judged me on it, uh, which I think was a false thing to do. So no, I don't think I'm being, at least in the discussion I was having, I did not express being victimized there in that situation. There are times where I have been, to a certain degree, or I've been, hampered because of it, because of race. And I think I expressed it in my when I was talking about the things that D Marble went through. And you can call it victimization if you want. You can call it just having a different level of rules imposed upon you than other people, or uh, having your actions restricted because of it. But that's different from being the victim, or being victimized, or just having, a different life because of it. I do have a different life because of it. You can call it being victimized or playing the victim, or if it's just reality. When I talk about things that happen, it's not because I'm claiming to be a victim of it. I'm just explaining these are things that actually just happen. I don't know about you, but I have resting angry black man face. Okay. But so, I find myself, I have to, like, for example, I have to express a greater deal of degree of positivity around certain people just to make them feel more comfortable because of the way things, of the way things work. Now, is that me being victimized or just me explaining that I notice this happens in the world? I don't get to be mad like everybody else sometimes. I can't, I've been in situations where I've just expressed, I was in a board meeting and someone said, this is what we have to do. You need to do this right now. And I said, that's not what I have to do. I don't have to do this right now. In the exact same tone. And was told afterwards, why did you blow up at him? You look, why did you do? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You were so angry. I'm like, what? And the thing is, the other black people in the room didn't feel that way about me, but all the white people in the room felt that way about me. And it's one of those things that you notice you have to do. It's like, oh, every so often you have to, these things you have to do. Now, is that being victimized or just explaining it? Yeah, that's just kind of how life works sometimes for me. So I thought it was, I wanted to have you on because now you explaining that you have a particular sense of humor, and so you make comments like that, like you did about, race-based comments, is helpful. Allows me to, put you in a little bit of context. But given the last few times I've interacted with you, you seem to be taking a very pejorative tone toward the things I say. I had to take it at face value of what you were saying. Last time, I think it was on the Reds Reddick one, where someone asked, "Hey, if you were to fight, Southerners, like, what would you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'll do this." And he said, "There you go, advocating violence." I'm like, what, dude? No, it wasn't. What are you talking about? So you seem to have. I was like, what the deal? You remember that?
Yeah, and actually, it also goes back to your D Marble situation when you said, well, what he should have done basically was throw his hands and cause a fight.
No, I didn't say should. I said he, may have wanted to because he expressed that he wanted to. I said maybe what he might deserve to have.
Yep, deserved was the word. Yep.
Yeah. But what people deserve and what they, get is and what you are allowed to give them are totally different things. Some people deserve an ass whooping. Doesn't mean you deserve to give it to them.
Very true.
There's a different thing.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. No, appreciate it. I'll still be around, and I like that you had me on just to kind of try to clear this up. I have a difference in opinion. I really don't like the whole race in America thing, because the racism in America thing, because I think it just continues to perpetrate it when we're trying to I think America is just kind of trying to leave that behind. Fortunately, I love it.
Not trying to leave it fast enough.
I mean, comparatively though, we can look at history and thousands of years of racism.
I don't live for thousands of years. I don't give a fuck about thousands of years. I have a lifespan. There is an exit point on this life.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that. And there's one on my son's life. And there's one on my nephew's life. There are exit points, and I would like this stuff to happen in their lifetime. It ain't gonna happen in mine, but I'd like to see it happen in their life. This, being on a glacial stage when it comes to racism, that's not working for me. There's a whole different topic if you want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it here, about how race can be brought up in ways that are actually detrimental to the situation, and how people bringing things up, bringing race into the situation, can actually just make things worse when it actually isn't part of it. And that's different from the reality of real racism. There's there's the myth of racism, and there's the self-imposed, things that come out. It's like, there are people who will purposely just say, you did that because I was black, and it had nothing to do with it, because it's, as you say, playing, as people would say, playing a race card. But then there is actual racism. And just as a real quick point, it's not a criticism of you in the slightest. It's just based on something you said earlier. To any of you who are watching out there, you had mentioned about racism in America, down in the South, this and that. I want no one to be under the illusion that racism is an issue that is restricted to the South of America, or that it's particularly worse in the South of America. The one thing that's about the South in America, it's more open, but it's not necessarily worse. It's just more overt. And sometimes overt racism is just easier to deal with. It's like, fuck, okay, good. Thanks. I'm glad you were just racist to my face. Now I don't have to ask questions. As opposed to shit that happens in California, which is things happen behind closed doors and you don't know why. But yeah, that should happen. It's not something that's restricted to the South. I don't want to, denigrate I have family that lives in the South that is, in a part of the Southern culture. It's not something that's restricted to that, or particularly it's just more stereotypical for that part of our country. I'm a victim of that stereotype too. I impose it upon them all the time. I know I do, and I know it's wrong of me to do it. So I just wanted to say that, because I know I have friends who are in the South that who might be listening.
Well,
Go.
I live in the South. I've been all over Texas and Georgia and all this kind of place, and then I come to Utah, and I can probably count on both hands how many times I've even seen a black guy here in a
Yeah,
year.
his name was John.
It's crazy, man.
It's my friend John. I have a friend named John who lives up that way. He calls himself John 13. He thinks he's the 13th black person in Utah.
Really?
He is a black gay yoga instructor. Brilliant doctor. But yeah, he's up there. He loves it up there. I don't know. He says, "All right, dude. Okay, you in Utah." But yeah, so probably 1 in 13 chance if you see a black guy, it's John.
That's funny, man. Real quick before I go, I wanted to share my screen with you. You probably have seen this before, but just show your audience. This is from Salt Lake City, over the Great Salt Lake. Very, very calm water, about 3,000 feet above sea level. So it's kind of better atmospheric conditions usually.
By the way, I have seen this. Maybe you don't remember because you were drunk, but I was when you showed it to me.
Yeah. I just, Salt Lake City, this is something that I've been trying to say for a long time. There's taboo conspiracy, other flat earthers that are here. I'm just putting it out there that flat earthers will not go and do this observation for some reason. I've done it like 7 times. I've done it with drones and P900 and all this kind of stuff. So I'm making it known that there's a very, very easy observation that people can do over very calm water and see, this is the Mormon building right here. Half of it's being obstructed, and there's 100 feet that leads up to the bottom of this building.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you real quick explain the I have to stop talking so they can see it, the height of this little temple looking building off to the side? How far off the ground on the hillside is that guy there?
It's a good question. This is actually the Capitol building.
Okay.
So when you go down to this picture, you can see that it's pretty high on a perch. I'm not sure the exact numbers of it, but it is high on this perch right here because it goes up into this mountain basically. But as you can see, you can't see it at 1.5 foot. I mean, this perch at all. So there's hundreds of feet that it's sitting on that you just can't see for some reason. And to people like me and you, there's obvious geometry to the earth. But nowadays, flat earth used to be very obvious and evident and QED observable. Nowadays, they just say like, this is like sinking, or like you can't see through the bottom of things because of angle of attack and all this stuff. So flat earth has just gotten so ridiculous that, Soundly, Miles Davis, all these people have just obliterated them. But when I started, I was only one just speaking with rhetoric. So I would tell them about the star trails. I'd tell them about the equinox and the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse, all this kind of stuff, just blatant, obvious things that you can go and observe. Well, then all these other guys came out, Reds and all this stuff. And it's just, there's too much information now that out there to believe that the earth is flat. So again, I wanted to show this. If anyone's in the Salt Lake City area that's a flat earther, please do this observation. It's from Antelope Island Causeway, near Antelope Island, looking 26 miles at Great Salt Lake. It's as easy as that.
Do you have a video of that particular set of data?
Yeah, actually I do.
What's the name of it? Will you show it up on the screen?
I just have raw.
Oh, okay. So you don't have anything up online?
I don't, I think one of my last videos actually, because Walter Bislin took this into his forum and did a really, really awesome model for this observation, and Soundly's and others. But I actually just did a video. No, it didn't show these though. But yeah, I mean, it's it's in picture and video form that you can see this, and really, truthfully, you can see it with your own eyes. You can see the buildings being obstructed with your own eyes. You don't need a telescope or anything like that.
But the telescope is really helpful in terms of looking that close enough that you can see that there's not what are they saying now? Like there's a horizontal compression happening, and somehow everything is being compressed into that little small area. Some nonsense like that. Isn't that some new thing that they have?
Yeah, Ranty and Nathan. Nathan's I think in my chat right now, but they're saying there's a diffraction limit, the Aries diffraction or something. Mm-hmm. So as you get further away from something, and actually some of them like Dell are just saying that your eyes are curved and your camera's curved. And now Jaren's saying that you're in some kind of a personal atmospheric dome. So it's just it doesn't make any sense anymore, man. It's so silly.
The fact that they have to keep coming up with these, new, twisty scenarios is just evidence that that they don't have anything, and that they're completely, not even that they don't have anything, is that they're completely insistent upon staying with their scenario as opposed to changing their claim based on the evidence. It's like, I said it in my last video with the moon thing, that if the science doesn't fit their claim, they have to discard the science. They're not going to discard the claim. That's just the way they work.
They don't have the same amount of scrutiny for this flat Earth as they do the spherical Earth. And if they did even have an iota of scrutiny against the flat Earth and not just seek to affirm their confirmation bias, well, we would see many, many less flat earthers. This is something that I actually really quickly would like to talk to you about. I was very heavy into conspiracies for a long time, and flat Earth actually helped me out of it. And I still hold some things pretty dear. But there's something to be said about the conspiratorial bias. And unless it's kind of like a heroin or something, I could try to tell you about it, but you've probably never tried it, so you don't know. I've never actually tried it either. But just saying, like, yeah. So it's a hell of a drug, man. And when they've come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat, no matter the amount of evidence that we show them, no matter they have to come to this conclusion on their own. And there are more and more people happening. Sean G, which I'd like to actually throw him over here sometime.
I caught that video. I commented on it.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, this is happening pretty quickly now. There was probably 5 flat earthers that had converted in several years. And now within just the past couple months, with all these personal atmospheric domes and Jarenism completely botching his every single test he's ever done, all this kind of stuff, I think people are starting to wake up. So it's really good news.
Well, just my opinion on Jarenism botching his tests. He's not botching his tests. He's doing the tests the way and he's getting the results he doesn't like. But the tests are just showing the globe. That's what's happening. His tests are showing the globe. He's just reaffirming that. He's botching his attempt at proving his point, but his tests are just showing the globe. Okay, I'm gonna move on because I am on call and I want to make sure I get to some other
stuff. Thanks, Sapien.
Thank you very much for taking the time to set the record straight on what you were saying, because this whole I hate text. I hate those type of conversations. I don't know where you're coming from. I make assumptions on what you're saying. I think you were doing the same for me. I want to make sure we got to the point, and I'm glad we were able to do it in front of folks here.
Boom. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good day.
All right. Take care. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Who's in the room? Hey, did Fred? No, nothing happened. Let me check my, dang, bro, clicking. Keeps going to that. Huh. Sorry, man. Sorry you can't get in. I made something wrong with your system. I just gave it the same link to Tim, and he got in just fine. So we'll try it again another time. We'll work it out maybe separately, like during the week, just you and me, and then so the next time we can get it together. Sorry about that, Fred. All right, back in the room. Sorry about that. Went longer than I thought, but hey, at least we're having. So have I? Over the line is asking if I discussed torque the line yet, and no, I have not discussed torque the line. Hey, what's up over the line? There's not really much to discuss. I looked into it. I think it's a very interesting experiment. But yeah, maybe I will. But I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's practicable. The torque line experiment. I think one. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the. I mean, he's dealing with the slack, but there's no way to get the line taut. But at least he recognizes that. That's one thing I noticed, that he recognizes that there's going to be no way of getting that line taut. He can't do a straight line on the torque the line experiment. So he is calculating the slack. But I think he's going to be, you're going to have whatever data he gets is going to be subject to his own personal interpretation, because there are going to be factors that he's not going to be able to account for. He talks about taking the temperature of the water and the density of the water, but there's no guarantee of the consistency of the density and the temperature of that water over a long distance. Dealing with the buoyancy of the line is great, but there's no way of dealing with the consistency of the buoyancy of the line. And so I think he can do some ballpark things, but I don't think he's going to get something that anyone is going to be able to say that's definitive. I just don't think the information is going to be right. I think the better thing to do, because he has a problem with the optical experiments with lasers, is to use a non-refracting signal, like a microwave signal or something that's at a level that it's non-refracting, will not be refracted by the light, so there won't by the atmosphere. So it is a direct line of sight, and then you can test it there. You basically have a straight wire of a non-refracting signal, and that'll take care of it right there. Let's see. Keith is saying, "Hey, GS, currently doing a master's in neuroscience." Well, aren't you a smart guy? Good for you. Thanks for reminding us of Critical Think. I'm thinking you're saying Critical Thinking, though Critical Think is a great YouTuber, and I would like to remind you of Critical Think. Let's see. Help me doing my literature review, getting published in a journal for the first time soon. Excellent. Good for you. Congratulations. That's a lot of work. And good for you for sticking to it and getting it done. Congratulations. Let's see who else is in the room. Anthony, you're replying to my torque the line comment, yeah. But hey, I think it's a great theoretical experiment. I do. I think it's a great experiment. I was going to say I don't think it's practical, because technically, literally, it is a practical experiment. I just don't think it's practicable. I don't think it's something you can actually execute. Tusk Music, am I a trial lawyer? No, I am not, even though I use my hands and talk as if I am. No, I am a evidence presentation designer. I'm an illustrator by study and designer by study, but I get paid by helping lawyers craft their evidence in visual form. So people like, hey, you put that video together pretty well, and you explained that concept pretty well, and I like the way you came up with an analogy to explain that. I didn't hear that before. It's kind of what I do for a living. Everybody I work with is really pretty good at bouncing ideas back and forth, trying to get to a core of the information, and then turning it into words or visuals that people can understand. The whole point is, if you're bringing evidence to a jury who is just like our peers, it's just a cross section of humanity, unless the jury's been manipulated to get a particular outcome. they need to be able to understand the information that may be a really high level of information. We're talking patent information for technology that no one has seen before, or biological, medicines and things that are chemistry that most people have never done. That stuff needs to be boiled down in a way that a jury can understand it, and that's um, what we do. So, I'm a designer for that. Mossy Mike, Sweet Soja Hoodie. Yeah, this is for Soja Martial Arts. Check out Santa Cruz Kelly Roots Band, Hallway Ballers. Cool. All right. The millionth YouTuber, no proof for the globe. That's kind of silly. Over the line. I just thought it's a good way of measuring curve. No, I think it's a great experimental concept. I do, and it is totally worth a try. Why not? Why not try it? Yeah. I'm with you over the line. I think it's a great even if it doesn't work, you learn stuff about why it doesn't work. Not necessarily why it doesn't work as proving the globe, or it's like, oh, this and that, but why it doesn't work. It's like, oh, yeah, the line tension, even though it's rated for such and such and it should work, it still went over. Oh, there's an increased amount of torque, of force, and a lot needed on the line because it's going through the surface tension of the water, which requires us to increase the practicable practical mass of the line. All these little things that are going to be learned from that, and who knows what'll come after that? Yeah, who knows? So good for him. My favorite genre of music. I am all over the place. Uh, I'm an old school R&B guy. I'm a funk guy. Uh, I hip hop from the day it was created. Uh, yeah, I don't have a favorite genre of music. Uh, I'm not a fan of metal, uh, and I'm not a fan of pop of like pop country, old folk country, rock country from like back in the 70s and 80s. Uh, but one particular genre, I can't say I have a particular favorite. I know it seems like a cop out, but I just my Pandora is all over the place. Uh, and like you can see here, I'm go over this. I'm a fan of Hamilton. I'm going to go see Childish Gambino on Tuesday. Then I'm going to go see Dear Evan Hansen on Wednesday. I like music of all forms and all types of entertainment. So yeah, just that kind of nerd. Have I ever looked in? Let's see. Have I ever looked into the what is the common trigger that causes people to fall down the FE rabbit hole? No, I have not. Um, I'm honestly just not interested in enough to go down that road. But if someone has, I would, I'd be interesting to read it. Um, but I think the FE rabbit hole is the same as all, not all, because some conspiracies are freaking real. but down the conspiratorial, it's a worldwide conspiracy rabbit hole. Probably similar mechanisms. Let's see. Donny Hathaway, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a different. I think there's a difference. One reason I have the musical tastes that I do is that I started listening to music in the 70s. And in the 70s, and I was in the Midwest, we didn't have radio stations that were like specific genre stations. Like when I got California and got to my late teens and 20s, the stations got more and more segregated in terms of like, this is an R&B station, nothing but an R&B station, and this is like top 40 station. But when I grew up, there were stations would play songs of just like everything, and they would be years old. A song wouldn't have come out for years, but they would still play it. And so it would be 1978, and I'd be listening to some Wings song from 5 years previous. It'd be they just kind of played everything, and so I got, my musical tastes were kind of formed by just like, everything good. Uh, so speaking of, good stuff, someone here has a username of, oh no, that isn't the person with the username MF Doom, but someone is asking for about MF Doom. Yes, I do listen to Metal Face Doom, Mask Face Doom, King Ghidorah. Yeah, I do listen to MF Doom. Not anything recently. I don't even know if he's put out anything recently. I have like 4 or 5 of his albums. Uh, and funny thing about MF Doom is the music that I use for my intro and outro, done by my buddy Iceberg Slick out of Vegas, uh, is the same stuff that MF Doom does. He was doing it about 5 years before anybody heard about MF Doom. All of Iceberg's mix tapes are that same MF Doom style uh, mix. Other people would do raps for him as well. Um, and then so it was interesting when MF Doom first started hitting, and someone said, "Hey man, you got to listen to this," and gave me a mixtape. My first thought was like, "Okay, does Iceberg have a secret identity?" Or is this just something that is becoming the trend now, and he was just on it before? Let's see what else is going on. Any other questions in the room? Let's see. Xenophobic experiment. Did I get a chance to look at Phoebe Phobe, the xenophobic experiment? Get a chance to look at the picture I took, which shows a bulge in the water by chance. Took that facing arterial facing. No, I did not. My apologies for that. Drop a link, and if one of my mods, can grab that link and put it in the Discord, that'd be great. Uh, do I think Black Panther will win Best Picture? I don't know who it's going up against, but no. It was a great movie. I love that movie. This is my favorite movie of the year. Yeah, I don't know, uh, but is it Best Picture? No, I don't think it rises to Best Picture. But I don't know who it's competing against. But yeah, good for them. Yeah, it was Best Picture in my heart. Let's see. Mhm. In the description, I wrote Klim instead of claim. Okay, I'll make sure I change that. So one thing that Fred was going to talk about is that we had a side conversation where he was saying that I was misrepresenting the globe denial position, which is that it's not that that moonlight is cooling. It's just that it's that moon shadow is warmer than moonlight, uh, which is just a flip side. It's if you're saying moon shadow is warmer than moonlight, you are saying that moonlight is cooler than moon shadow. That's what you're saying. Uh, but that's still explained in my video for those of you who think it's wrong. It's like, no, we're saying that moon shadow is warmer. It's like, no, the fact is the moon has nothing to do with it. And that's the thing that most globe deniers didn't do. I mean, the few videos I've seen of people doing a moon temperature experiment, a few videos actually, hold on a second, I just got an email. I got to double check on. Okay, cool. We're good. The few videos where they did a moon temperature experiment, all they were concerned about was, this is the moon cold? Do we get this? If you want to know if the moon is causing a cooling effect, then you try it with the moon and you try it without the moon. And then you see whether or not the moon has a cooling effect. Fred was saying that it's not that moon light is cooling, it's that moon shadow is warmer. Well, if moon shadow is warmer than moonlight, if you want to know if it's about moon shadow, then go without the moon again and try it with shadow of the open sky versus open sky. It's the same thing. And the fact is that radiant cooling radiative cooling happens at night with an open sky. If there's a moon, things will get cooler in the moonlight as opposed to being covered up. If there's no moon, things will get cooler in the open sky than in the non-open sky. It's not about the moon. It's not about moonlight. It's not about moon shadow. It's about the atmosphere, the open space. There not being a barrier to the radiative action of cooling off. That is what it's about. So, yes, it is cooler in the moonlight, but it is not because the moon is cooling. It's also cooler in the open sky. That is why. So, I mean, that's what I was going to try to explain to Fred. Uh, he, we had this conversation before on the side. That's what I was going to try to explain to him and see if he had any other issues. And the reason I was going to have him on because we've actually had conversations by phone or at least by a chat before, voice chat. And so I know he's perfectly capable of having a civil conversation, unlike some globe deniers that I've spoken with. So I was perfectly willing to have a conversation with him because we get along when it comes to having a conversation, whether or not we agree. And that's the thing. I hope you people notice that it should be perfectly possible for you to have a conversation with somebody you disagree with without it degenerating into just like name calling. It should be possible. I'm talking to people on all sides of whatever subject. You saw me and Tim talking. Obviously, we didn't agree on certain things, but it wasn't necessary for us to take it up to a level of vitriol. Fred and I have had conversations. Uh, we've had conversations where in the chat he was very aggressive and insulting, but then when we had actual conversation, that disappeared because he's a grown up and he knows how to talk to people. So it should be perfectly possible for people to have a civil conversation. And if you're unable to have a civil conversation, uh, one or both of you have an issue and are part of the problem. Google Doc link. Thank you very much, Phobe. Ephraim asks, should we consider trying to explain conservation of energy to flat earthers because the whole moon cooling thing would that make or help make it more help or make it more difficult? I think that would be, the more layers you add to a topic with uh, the globe denier crowd, the science denier crowd, the more they are resistant to what you're saying. This seems to be. People criticize me, and I'll take the criticism for not bringing up extra things. It's like, well, you talked about this, but you should have brought in this, and you could have talked about that. It's like I could talk about certain topics on so many different levels because science is complex. Everything's kind of interconnected to a certain degree. It's like you want to talk about the sunset. Well, there's perspective, there is atmospheric refraction, there's there's glare, there's all sorts of things that can come in to effect. But you can't necessarily talk about them all at once. They will shut down. They will shut down. And so I try to strip away all that and try to get to what I call a digestible portion. I try to bring them a digestible portion of information that they can consume and take in. But if you give them too much, they will throw it back up. I hate to get Chris. Sorry, it's not like this is scripted, it's just coming off the top of the head, but that's what happens. If you give them too much, they will throw it back up. So you have to give them a digestible portion, consumable bites of information. Let them digest that, let them integrate that, and then approach them again. Anything else? Okay, so it's been an hour and a half. I think I'm going to need to sum this up. Uh, thanks, Ephraim. Yeah, there's different approaches. That's why I think there needs to be. That's why I'm glad that there are different YouTubers that are doing this, because I will take things to a certain degree. For example, who was it? I think it was Wally. Wally. Well, what's blanking on his screen name all of a sudden. What's his screen name? What is his screen name? Wally. I'm blanking on his name. But he did a video on Cold Moonlight, and he had a totally different approach to what I did. And let's see, I want to get his name. Give him some props here. Where's Wally? That's it. Where's Wally? Where's Wally did a video last week, maybe before, beating me to the punch on the Cold Moonlight thing, but he had a different approach, and he used a different method of sampling things. And I think it's necessary to have people that attack things from different angles to paint this bigger picture. I think thank you. Yeah. I think if I try to say everything in one, what happens is people listen to it and listen to it, at least people who need to get that information. And then they get to a point where that's too much and they start to shut down. It fills them up and they shut down. They don't want anymore. But if I give them this much, and then they go over to Where's Wally and they get this much from him and it's slightly different. There's an overlap, but there's a different bit. They start to get a larger picture of the situation. And they go over to Wolfie and they get something else. And they go over to Critical Think and they get something else. But if it's all in portions that they can take in, they start to, we start to fill things in with for them at a rate that they can take. It's the kind of the frog in the pot of water type of story. We don't give them too much that they run away from it, that they take in all the information. What's up, Team Skeptic? Your timing is perfect for me to say goodbye, because it's been an hour and a half and I really need to keep this short because I am on call. Mm-hmm. You get your NASA shield check every month. They call it Social Security. Is that what they call it? That's the cover for the NASA shield check? Yes, I know. I'm going to put the Solstice observation thoughts in my brain. We'll talk about that next week. Wolfie does a great job, but lately I've come to the conclusion that flat earthers don't even bother seeing his videos. They're automatically dismissed as globe propaganda. Wolfie's sudden acceleration in fame has just rocked the globe denier group considerably. They hate him. So they are trying their best to just dismiss him altogether. And so it's hilarious. Yeah, just try to dismiss. Briefly, one just came to mind. Some people have sent me links to Daniel Pratt's video. Apparently, he made a video. Yes, I did see Jaron Wisdom's ISS Moon Transit video. Daniel Pratt made a video calling me out, attacking me. And they wanted to know if I've seen it. Not only did I see it, I saw it coming. Daniel Pratt is very predictable. He hit me up. Is it Friday morning? That was Friday morning, I think it was. Yeah, it was the morning of movie trailer coming out. He hit me up Friday morning on a comment thread, attacking me as a thief and a degenerate. Out of nowhere, just like, blah, blah, blah. And which told me, let me take these off since no one's. And so, which told me, he's like, Daniel Pratt has decided he wants to make a video about me. So he's going to come here, talk some shit to me, try to get me to comment or not comment or something, and then he'll make a video about it because that's what he does. And so I just commented back to him, was like, I think my comment was, I guess you're going to make a video about me now. I can't even remember what it was. Let's see if I can find that thing. Yeah, not gonna do it. So I said, I guess it's my turn. You're going to make a video about me. That's why you came here. And that's what he does. He attacks, starts, tries to start noise, so then he can go back and make a video and say, X person is afraid of me, blah, 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 blah. And so it was so obvious. And he commented back about, I guess I feel mediocre or whatever, at least some noise. And then, of course, a half hour later, he put up a video attacking me, which was very predictable. And I know it was a half hour. It was later because he mentioned what I said in my comment in his video. So it was incredibly predictable what he was doing. He comes to me and makes a comment uh, for the purpose of getting me to say something so he can make a video, and I commented on that. And guess what? That's what he did. He used my comment in the very next video he came out because he's a predictable troll. Uh, and so it was all about me being a thief and how I stole people's money, and then how I should take that money that I stole and I should use it with Wolfie and all these other people to do something to prove the globe. You know, he does the standard thing of getting really close to the camera and laughing and show those chiclet teeth that he has and whatever, and just yelling uh, and and insulting. That's what he does. You know, he likes to get up really close to the camera and call people names. You know, names he would never say to somebody's face. He'll call you a coward. He will, you know, say incredibly foul things about you. Um, but he would never say that to somebody's face. And I know he would never say it to mine. It's just never going to happen. He would because he is a true coward. I don't say anything on video. I don't post anything on Twitter. I don't post anything on Facebook that I would not be perfectly willing to say uh, in a congressional hearing. That's just, you know, that's just how I am. So uh, so if I say, you know, fuck you and the horse you rode in on in a video, I would say that to your face. But generally, I don't. I try not to, you know, be insulting to people. But if I'm willing to say it on video, I'd say it to your face. So yeah, so he decided to call me out and make all sorts of noise. Uh, and whatever, dude. You want attention with your, you know, 165 views or whatever. I'm not going to make a video for you. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not going to engage with you on that level. If I wanted to interact with a syphilitic pirate, uh, I don't know. I'd go to Ranty's mom's house or something. I don't know. Anyway, uh, so one thing that uh, Daniel said in his video was that you know, that he repeatedly accused me of being a criminal and a crime, blah 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 blah. You know, this horrible, you know, degenerate and thief and a con man. You know, and he called me out for it. So this is what I want to say. This is the only thing I have to say to you, Daniel. If you genuinely think that I am a criminal, if you genuinely think that I am a con man, that I stole what you think is $19,000. The fact is, after everything, I only got 16 or so out of it, and so those payments went to the things I said I was buying. And if you genuinely think I stole this money, if you genuinely think I perpetuated this type of crime, this type of scam on people, call the police. Call the police. Call the FBI. Call whoever you need to call. My name is Jerry Williams, and I live in Oakland, California. I am a pup. I'm not anonymous. So you can call the FBI and you can tell them what you know for a fact that I did, and have me taken in. If you truly believe that, and you're not just talking shit, because if you do that, you are then subject to what happens for uh, defamation, for filing a false police report. Your name is public, as far as I know, and you would be subject to whatever happens to you because of your steps that you took. So if you really truly think I am what you say I am, and you are really the badass, you know, voice of judgment you claim of justice you claim to be, then put your name to it. Report me and have me arrested, or shut the fuck up. There. That's my message to him. Whoop whoop. That's the sound of the police. People are so damn funny. It's so damn funny. Uh, All right, folks. It is 11:15. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. I need to get off of this thing. uh, thank you. Oh, real quick, let me just see if there's any questions that I missed on there. Yeah, I will make that change. Cool, cool, cool. Uh, I will review the chat log later on for any links that may have been put in there. I'll see what I can find and do some review. Uh, thank you guys. If anybody comes up with any more of that type of moon like cold moon claims, please disseminate the video that I did, and also remind people that there's a video of all the raw footage there as well. Um, for people who claim that I'm doing the putting out false information or hiding the information. It's all there. Obviously, the temperatures fluctuations are there, and you have to take them for what they are. But share the video, get that out there. Um, I don't know if I'm going to have a new video this week. I have a number of my schedule is busy, and I'm going to try. Still, I'm on a goal to try to get a video out, at least one video out a week for the next at least for the next couple months. I have a lot of things going on, and I need to start laying the groundwork. Uh, let the suspense build for some events that are going to be happening in the spring. All right, folks. This has been great. Thank you very much. It looks like things were pretty cool in the chats. Looks like everybody was pretty calm. I don't know of anybody getting knocked knocked out. And thank you all very much for all your support. Spread the video. Oh, by the way, those of you who are members of my Patreon account got access to the moon landing video yesterday. I do put those videos up. Most of my videos I do put up at least 24 hours earlier on my Patreon account. With the case of the compass video, I put it up a day or two in advance, and I even got some notes from a couple of my patrons that allowed me to make some edits. So that's one reason I do it. I will give you early access on the Patreon account. Take some feedback, and if there's enough time, I'll even change the video due to what you guys have said. But you do get early access before people on YouTube. So that's one thing that's only that's with a minimum membership of $1 a month. It's one of these things that I want to keep doing these things. I'm not doing it for the money, but the fact is, every time I'm as I do these things for my hobby, I do take time away from my family. And so, hey, if you guys, the little money I get from the Patreon account can go to pay off my family. So, so I appreciate your support there. And on that note, I'm going to take off. I just want to remind everybody to go out, try to learn something about the world today that you didn't know yesterday. If you can, help someone else do the same, and enjoy yourself while doing it. Take care.